Welcome to all our friends to High Five Live on this beautiful day.
It's great to have you with us, and we are delighted to welcome the Sacketts, and we'll tell you all about
you're going to
them.
love the Sacketts. You're going to be so glad you tuned in.
We appreciate them being here, and we appreciate High Five Live for providing uplifting, inspiring videos every day. And we are thrilled today to give you one of those.
Yes, and we'd like to remind you, since we're talking about this remarkable place called Nauvoo, that High Five Live is having a church history tour the 13th through the 23rd of the 14th through the 23rd of July. So it's a family tour, and anybody that wants to sign up for that would have a great time.
We would love it if you would let us know where you are joining from, and please share this. And now we'll introduce these two. They are our good friends, and they are an incredible giving. I just want to say they
Gifted,
are true,
amazing, remarkable couple.
True disciples of Christ. And they have music in their bones, and this calling that they have received to be directors of the Young Performing Missionaries. They did it this last summer, and they are called to do it again. Those lucky kids. And right now they're in the middle of auditioning hundreds of those that have applied to be Young Performing Missionaries in Nauvoo, because it is life-changing. And we'll talk more about that. But these two, let's see, before their mission, Corey taught seminary and institute for
almost I got to teach with him.
40 years.
Yay. Almost 40 years.
Periods. Yeah. And Debbie taught piano for almost that long, 33 years, right? And she was a costumer, which I'm a costumer, so we have that in common.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I work with community theater in Bluffdale, and it's so fun. But these two have always loved musical theater, and their kids have, and they've been in numerous productions. Let's see, they started acting as a family at the Sarah and the Hale Center Theater in Orem when their kids were young, and then they've been acting together for 13 more years after they started, and many different productions. Oh my goodness.
And if you add up all the years of their whole family performing, it would be like 135.
It probably would be.
Especially if you include home evening songs and stuff.
Yes. They've worked with nonprofits and traveled all over. In fact, their son's nonprofit group, Inspire Music Service Hope, is one that they have helped with, and we can learn more. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that while we're on it right now?
I need to clarify one thing you mentioned. We're not the directors over the Young Performing Missionaries. We help the Crockett's. They're the directors. We're over the actors, singers, and dancers.
Gotcha.
So there's some over the band and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. You do get to work with the young ones, and our son was a performing missionary there, and you know, what a privilege and blessing to do that and to influence them and feel their influence. And we are excited to hear all about that.
You want to hear about the Inspire?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mary.
Oh, we love Inspire Music Service Hope. We have gone to a number of different countries. The thing we love about it is that not only do they go and do service projects, but they also arrange with schools in the country like Costa Rica, Dominican Republic. Those are a couple of places we've gone. They arrange with the schools to meet with them, and we exchange music. So our group will sing, and their group will sing to us. Oh. And that's one of the ways that we've found out that music transcends any language barriers. Everybody sings together, and you come out of those just hugging everybody in the audience, even though you don't know them. It's been wonderful.
And through that music, they then all combine to do a service project. Usually we build playgrounds. We built playgrounds. We've taken food into the area of Haiti. We've painted schools. We've painted a house. We've done just different service projects, but that's getting with the local schools and the local stakes. Church Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints stakes, and then with that combination, we donations are given to mainly build playgrounds.
Oh, that is so wonderful.
That's so great.
Oh, the good that you two have done, and what a great opportunity. That is marvelous. And so your family, like we said, this musical talent is just in your blood. So tell us a little bit about your children and their performing opportunities.
You
The
know,
history of the
our
Sackett
son-
family.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Say that again.
The history of the Sackett family, right?
Oh. Our first son had an opportunity to perform when he was in second grade. How old is that? Anyway, that's when he started. And just one after another, they all followed in each other's footsteps. They all did theater in junior high and high school. And we just were the cheerleaders. We did everything with them. And then we started one year, we said, let's do Christmas Carol together. Corey had been doing Christmas Carol. And we said, let's do it together. Let's take the kids. Actually, Corey took the kids. And I needed a few more lessons before I could go. I took some vocal lessons. And the kids were like, Mom, take some voice lessons. I did. And then we all auditioned and we all did Christmas Carol together.
Oh,
And that lasted probably 13 years. And in between there, we did a bunch of other shows. It was delightful. What a great way to spend Christmas with our family. Really was.
and to serve and share those gifts and talents.
Yeah.
Wow.
And young ambassadors and on and on. I mean, your
Young
credentials are
ambassadors, both
amazing.
point
And
worthy. Yeah.
anytime at the Institute we could have Corey sing, it would just melt everybody's heart. So it's a great joy.
Yeah, the Institute in Orem.
So you've worked with young adults all your life, and now you're working with them again, right? Tell
And
us
we
about
love
what you think.
it.
Yeah, tell us about what you think about the young adults.
They're awesome.
That's my question.
You go through a process of auditions. This year we had 1,300 start the audition process.
Oh my
Of
God.
those 1,300, only 328 actually finished. And about every year for the last 2 years now, we've had 350, and then we had 325 send in their audition tapes. The audition tapes are anywhere from 5 minutes to 15, 20 minutes. And they sing, dance, act. We have to watch all of those and pick a cast. And so, as you can tell, we only can take, last year we took 28 for the summer and 22 for the fall. And so out of 350, you really do end up getting the cream of the crop in terms of spirit and talent. And there's a lot we would have loved to take. I mean, there's so many. And because of that, that's actually why we used to go, they used to go for 3 months. And then with that much talent and no pageant, they said, let's try it for 3 more. And it was a very good success. So now they said we're going to go 9 months. So there'll be 3 groups. 10 right now. The plan is a group in the spring, a group in the summer, and the group in the fall. And we're in the middle of those auditions right now.
Oh
we
my
both have to
goodness.
watch them, and the youth are just awesome. There's
have
just
a way of-
tremendous spirit.
Interacting with people. Everyone loves them in Nauvoo. They appeal to the children. The children love to come up afterward and talk to them, and they just adore them. They look up to them. The teenagers love them because they're just a little bit older. They look up
Yeah.
to them. And the older folks, they love them because they're so cute and so personable. They do. There are things that these young performers do that we could never do because we're old.
But not that old.
That's so true. You know, in our study of that whole Nauvoo period, it was a lot of young adults that built Nauvoo. There's a lot of young adults that really built the church. I mean, the ones that joined the church in those days were young. And the same age as these kids are a little older. They really, and now we have these young adults portraying those messages in Nauvoo. The message of Nauvoo is unique. It is a remarkable gift. Tell us a little about your experience with that.
Well, the actors and the actresses, they testify every night at a devotional of how it went that day. And many times these youth will tell us that behind them or in front of them or next to them, they could feel the presence of the people they were portraying and others. And it was confirmed by 2 or 3 that night, in the same area where these groups were singing with them from the other side of the veil, or just there watching. And so our goal was to try to get them to not be actors, to not be, oh, look at me, impress you. They're supposed to be able to say, I am here to bless you, not impress you.
Mm.
And when they finally got that, their entire acting changed because they became the person they were supposed to be.
Mm.
We have 7 shows there's that we were over and working with. And the first day when we see them at the airport, we're trying to select who's going to be who, because we got to fill 128 roles in those 7 shows.
It's amazing.
And we
and
don't,
then-
I'll tell you what, it doesn't happen without the help of the Lord.
no way.
Mm.
We saw his hand in this process because there are so many roles to fill. It was amazing.
And we get it all ready. And because this was our first experience, we're ready to announce it to everybody because they've been working on dancing, etc., while we've been picking their parts. And just before I went in, Brother Crockett walks in and goes, oh, by the way, we have to have a guitar player, a mandolin player, and a violin player in each of your groups. So
And they're just supposed to
2 to 3 hours later, we then finally had those groups and the same actors, and because there's certain people that have to just play certain parts that look a little bit like Brigham Young, etc. And that was a fun experience.
Oh, it's a miracle.
It's so wonderful. When you're in Nauvoo, you do feel the spirit of those early saints.
Oh, yes.
It's just all around you. It's, in fact, our mission president, President Risley, said, Nauvoo is one of the best places you can go to gain clarity in your life and to find out what the next step in life will be for you. And I believe that that's true.
I love that. And I agree. We agree. We
So much.
totally agree with that. Wow.
It's remarkable. So we also are in the middle of Come Follow Me, all of us, and we happen to be in Nauvoo, right? In our study of this magnificent place, it meant so much to the saints back then. I mean, they've been through so much turmoil, so much pain, and so much torture. Then they get to Nauvoo, and it's different for a brief period. But it also means so much to the saints today. I mean, the meaning of Nauvoo, you've lived there. The meaning of this place and the gift that it brings to us. Can you just talk about the meaning a little bit of Nauvoo itself in the history and in our present lives as you've seen it in Nauvoo?
I'll go first, then you finish with it. A few years ago, President Hinckley made the comment that we have to spend money on members. They deserve to have things like Nauvoo and etc., where they can have their testimonies strengthened. And it was amazing to watch, especially the teenagers, show up in our shows, and they're sitting there on their phones and texting all through a production. And then all of a sudden something happens to them and they turn off their phones and they start looking and they get engaged in it and their testimonies come. And it's weird that every one of them that testify to us and we talk after, every different show affects somebody differently, plus the site itself. Some of them, the shows didn't do anything to them, but the site did. And some of them, the site meant nothing. Going through a bakery, big deal. But then they'd see a show and their lives would change because they felt the presence of other people bearing testimony that this is true. And the sacrifices they made are awesome.
Mm.
And I feel like every time we have an opportunity to portray one of those people, it strengthens our testimony because we are so amazed by their unwavering faith and obedience to the prophet. One of our shows says, there's a line in there, it says, West was a direction, not a destination.
Mm.
They didn't know exactly where they were going or the toll that it would take on them or the trials that they would have to go through, but they were willing to do it for a cause that they believed in because they knew the church was true and because they wanted to follow their prophet. I believe that that's a message that we take into our hearts today from the saints who lived in Nauvoo long ago.
Absolutely. Oh, that was so beautifully said, both of you. Thank you.
You know, at the end of the pageant, when we've been there. Our kids were in the pageant last time it was held before COVID, right? And we got a chance to go out and watch them. Their whole family was in it, and what an experience that was. But when those temple lights turn on, and you think about the gift of the temple, just tell us a little about your feelings about the temple and its gift, because Nauvoo gives us the gift of the endowment and the temple, right?
With COVID, it made it pretty interesting because the actors that we had didn't get that experience of seeing pageant. And next year, only the one group will. I mean, we'll have 3 different groups: one before pageant, one during pageant, and one after pageant. But the temple is still there, and we were only allowed to go in it because at the time our residence was Nauvoo. Everybody kept coming, visitors. Can we get in the temple? No, they won't let anybody in but us. So we did have that privilege of going to that sacred building. And one day we were able to go clear to the top of the spire up near the top and actually sing.
Oh,
And the resonance there is amazing.
Oh,
It was unbelievable.
only imagine.
to be in that spot and to know what's going on there and the sacrifices that were made for that temple. In fact, the temple became so important to our directors and the actors that we actually canceled shows because of days when our actors were getting their endowments.
We had 17 of our missionaries receive their endowments while we were there. It was absolutely beautiful.
so our son received his endowments when he was a performing missionary too.
Oh,
He
that's
got his
so
mission
cool.
call there. And I know exactly what you mean.
Yes. He opened it in the 70s hall. It was amazing.
But it was amazing
That
to take him
is
to the
cool.
Nauvoo temple for his endowments.
Yes.
Just such a remarkable
You
experience.
know, one thing I love about the Nauvoo temple is that it's up on the hill.
Mhm.
Everywhere you go in Nauvoo,
You can
you
see
see
it.
the temple. The temple is a shining beacon. I love that. And it made me think about how the temple should be a beacon in our lives all the time. We should always be thinking of it. And I think it was it President Nelson who said, no, it was, I can't remember who, I hadn't better say, but that we can be worthy of going to the temple. We can hold a temple recommend even if we can't go to the temple during COVID. It's important to be worthy and it's important to be ready to go there. And it's just a beautiful place. One of my favorite things in that temple is you can go in the celestial room and look up, and there are these beautiful glass windows. And one of the things we talked about in one of our vignettes was how the sisters of Nauvoo saved their pennies. They were encouraged to save a penny a week to earn money to buy the nails and the glass for the temple. Wow. And when I looked up at that, it just brought me to tears. I thought, this is what they sacrificed for. They knew the importance of it. It's just a beautiful experience to be there. And they did. There was so much sacrifice for that
And the
temple.
journals state that even in in the records of the Relief Society, they were excited that they had earned $17.50. I mean, it was like the biggest
penny at a
thing
time
in the
Yeah.
notes.
Exactly.
And to them, that was a tremendous sacrifice of pennies to
Oh.
get $17.50. And it's just powerful.
Oh,
You know, you brought this up.
oh, it's
The
amazing.
power of women and their remarkable ability to carry the restoration on their shoulders and support and sustain and continue was really defined clearly in Nauvoo.
Our daughter got to spend a semester there through BYU, and oh, how she loved. Well, all of our children have a special spot, as yours do, in their hearts. And as she talks about the temple, I mean, to be there, like you said, just to be there. But when you can't, we have people all over the world listening to this broadcast and will listen. If you have access to the internet, that you can take a tour of Nauvoo online.
Tour of the temple.
A tour of the temple. You can feel the spirit even through the internet of Nauvoo, and it can change you. even that much of an exposure. And there was a face-to-face. Just look at all the information and all the wonderful resources about Nauvoo, and let it sink in your heart. So we invite you to do that. Um, there's just so much
Missionaries,
together.
we recorded most of our sets, and the missionaries that are there now, we're not there, but they'll give a tour of the building and say, now, if you'd like, we're going to play a 15-minute vignette of the building that you're in. And then they'll
Perfect.
click play. So you can get that experience through those tours, depending on who your missionary is that's giving the tour. Just ask them in your presentation, and they can click on a vignette that we've done. And we're getting ready to do more, of course, when we get back there.
Yes, and we
Before
can't
we
wait
left.
for those.
Those
We
are
can't wait to
fantastic.
see the new group that'll be performing. And what a gift they give. What a gift the two of you and the Crockett's, Terry and Danny. We just love them. And like you said, they have a big responsibility, and your responsibility with these young adults is an incredible one. And you've already served with all of your hearts, and you have another opportunity to do that. And we just want to express our gratitude
So much.
to you and to all those who give so much to perform and make Nauvoo what it is as a gathering place. Like it was once, it is now again, right?
Yes, it definitely is. We're so amazed with how many people come. It's beautiful.
The sad thing is, if you're planning to go, they show up and they say, well, how many days do you have? Oh, just one.
You're like,
You cannot participate and experience Nauvoo under 3 days.
yeah.
You get a few things in 2 days, but
So
if
plan
you're
more.
coming, plan for more than 3 days, or
And it's a
at least 3
wonderful,
days.
yeah.
You just don't see everything that's available, and I suggest that you plan that if you're going to gather there.
Amen.
So one of the things that Nauvoo represented, I think, is a respite for the saints, where they could really live the gospel and really joyfully enjoy each other as members of the church. And I feel that when I remember Nauvoo. But the missionaries also feel. You were going to tell us about a missionary that felt that after being there for a little while, and how it changes lives. Do you want to share that story with us?
You bet. We had, and I could tell you a story about every single one of them, but one of the more dramatic ones was we had a missionary who came late. There was a miscommunication with his stake president, and he didn't get his ticket to travel out in time. So he came a week late. And when he arrived, I went over to him and I said, Elder, how are you? It's so great to have you here. We're so excited. I said, how do you feel about it? And he said, I'm dead inside. And I went, oh, I didn't know what to do with it. He said, no, really, I'm dead inside. And I said, well, I'm sure you've come to the right place, because now you're in Nauvoo.
Yeah.
And we watched him as he learned and grew the whole time he was here. He became a district leader. He helped me with it. Gosh, he was just the most outstanding missionary.
Mhm.
Everyone loved him. Everyone loved to watch him perform. He just needed to be there and find out who he was and whose son he was. And it was a beautiful transformation. And he came back an entirely different person.
While there, he got his endowments, received his endowments.
Yeah, he did go through the temple.
Probably will be going on a full-time mission, where before that probably wasn't in his plans. Just do this performing and move on with life. But you never know. And there's so many of them like that the spirit of that place just changes people.
It does. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah, our cute family, our daughter and her family that performed there, she did a lot of the choreography for some of the numbers in the pageant, both pageants actually. And you know, those kids, they have this this love of not just Nauvoo and not just church history, but the family history part of it. You know, when we can look, and there is a site on Family Search where you can find your relatives
Yes.
that were living in Nauvoo, and you just need to look that up and just see who was there and try to feel as they felt. And just, as we wrap this up, I just can't stop thinking about heaven and the meeting there of all of your young performing missionaries and all those who have served in any capacity in Nauvoo and represented those wonderful saints who gave it all, who gave their lives for us that we might enjoy the gospel today. And that meeting in heaven where they actually see those people that they represented and that they danced and sang and played for. I just picture that and the joy. I mean, talk about a celebration, right?
Yes.
And the broader perspective of all the little families that lost loved ones and children. One I was reading about today that lost 9 of his 12 children, and then heard about the ceiling in Nauvoo and what that must have meant. In fact, I think it was the architect of the temple, one of the architects that helped with doing that for the Nauvoo temple, that had lost so many of his children, and then had this beautiful truth about that meeting in heaven, right?
Yeah.
It all comes from this beautiful Nauvoo period.
There is a story about where all the saints were getting ready to leave, and Brigham Young said, "Let's go home. Let's pack up. Let's get out of here." And he started walking away. And he turned around, and the saints were standing there. And he could tell how much they wanted to go through the temple and receive those covenants before they left. And a number of saints wrote about how receiving the temple endowment and receiving and taking out those covenants helped them as they traveled across the plains and went through all the things that they had to go through.
Isn't that just like all of us? I mean, we receive those blessings and we travel through our little wilderness, right? And have those promises to carry us forward.
One last comment that I'd like to make is the spirit for those that are thinking of going, auditioning, being a performer. Something has to change in your life, and that is, I've auditioned for a lot of shows. I've been in a lot of shows, and sometimes you're sitting there going, "Oh, I hope he trips. Oh, I hope this person falls down. I hope they hit a bad note so they don't sound good so that I can get the part." In Nauvoo, in our callbacks and in our meetings with these actors, the ones that made it were the ones cheering for the others to be successful. We tell them when they come to callbacks, we hope you're praying for each other. Because if you're just praying for yourself that you make it, that's one person. But if you're praying for everybody else to be successful, that's 100 to 300 people praying for you to be successful. And it changes the auditions completely. And it changes the attitude of those who are picked, that are there to bless other people than to say, "Look at me, I am so awesome." And that can really make an effect in your life, in all aspects of your life, if you're praying for other people instead of just praying for yourself. And that's something that I learned in this whole experience that is so powerful.
Oh, so beautiful. That's right. And thank you for sharing the whole essence. And I think you just wrapped it up beautifully, because you have these opportunities, all of you, everybody involved in the performances at Nauvoo, to cheer for each other and to become such a team that can so influence everybody that comes through there. And like we said, everybody that can feel the spirit from wherever they are in the world of beautiful Nauvoo.
Yep. Remarkable. Thank you so much, Sackett.
Anything else before we close? We're good?
We're good.
Thank you so much for being on our broadcast today and sharing the spirit, your spirit, and the spirit of Nauvoo.
We love you too very much. And to all of you, please share this message so others can have the chance to think about the message of Nauvoo in their lives and live that way that Corey was just saying. United, caring about others, reaching out to everyone else, praying for each other. That's the way we're going to make it through. And our prayer is that we can do that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.